If you were on the internet during the 2000s or 2010s, you've definitely heard the term creepypasta thrown around. Maybe you watched some YouTube videos at this time or even read a few of the stories yourself. And if you've never even heard of a creepypasta, then I have no idea how the hell you even got here. But a creepypasta is essentially just an internet term for short horror stories that were shared across forums during the early internet. And since I've been watching a lot of iceberg videos about creepypasta, it had me thinking, since we do know most of the creepypastas like Slenderman, Jeff the Killer, Sonic.exe, or even Bang Drown, I wanted to dive into something deeper, the more obscure creepypasta, something more darker, more sinister, more evil. So that's why we're going to be looking at the most terribly written creepypastas out there. And before we do start, I wanted to say a few more things. Firstly, I wanted to give credit to Reddit user Hagen for providing today's iceberg. The links will be in the description, of course. And one more thing, since there's so many entries, I'll only be taking one from each tier. And if you enjoy this type of content, then I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe, and perhaps I'll make more later down in the future. Alright, let's get into it.
Decorated hamburger room. Hamburglar deserves it. He's been a big help with the Happy Meal Workshop.
He hasn't taken a single cheeseburger for a long time.
Here he comes. Hamburglar, this is your new room.
Wow, rubble, thanks.
Let's give him a few minutes to look it over.
Oh, boy.
He's changed. So polite and stuff.
He's not the same old Hamburglar.
Alright, so this first entry starts with a Ronald McDonald creepypasta, but instead of Ronald himself, it's more about the Ronald McDonald House, which is a real world thing. It's just a charity. And the story starts with the narrator, a 15-year-old foster child from Detroit who has spent his life bouncing between group homes. His caseworker presents his case file inside a thick brown envelope. Seeing his notorious reputation, nobody else was willing to take his file, so she gave him only two choices: one, military school, or a spot at the Ronald McDonald House home. He naturally chose the house, packing his few belongings, including a treasured photo album of his past foster families. His caseworker drives him into downtown Detroit, pulling up to a tall, gray, windowless building, packed tightly between two industrial lots. It completely lacks an address or a sign. Once inside, the building is oddly silent. At the desk, the secretary behind the glass window turns around to reveal her short, curly red hair and her face painted exactly like Ronald McDonald, while she's fitted in a white nurse's dress. Despite the boy's sudden panic and desperate pleas to go to military school instead, his caseworker obliviously signs the paperwork and leaves. The minute she leaves the building, a sound of a shrill of echoing laughter fills the room as the mob of clown-faced nurses emerges, slamming him onto a rolling gurney, strapping him down and waving scalpels and needles in his face before injecting him. Gloved fingers forcefully pry his mouth open into an unusual grin, whispering, "We all love to see you smile." He wakes up shivering on the floor, in a white cell covered in scratch marks, stripped down, only wearing a ripped yellow hospital gown, which is in a pattern of Ronald McDonald's heads. Checking his bag, he finds his phone and notebooks are gone, only leaving his photo album. But the pictures of his past families has been replaced with gruesome crime scene photos of their brutal murders. The final pages show photos of his caseworker brushing her teeth, looking at the camera in horror, and finally dead in her bathtub. The back cover reads, "You never existed." By slaughtering everybody he's ever known, the Ronald McDonald House has completely erased his life. Using lock-picking pins he kept hidden in the bottom seams of his bag, he escapes into a maze of endless white halls, echoing with the screams of children. He slips past a set of double doors, labeled play place, in tall, thin letters. Catching a glimpse of two nurses emerging, covered in streaks of blood, he descends down the stairs to the first floor. He enters a unlocked room marked with a massive red cross. Inside, he discovers a cavernous room where missing kids are literally crucified on wooden crosses hanging from the ceiling. Intravenous tubes run from the children's wrists into a giant steel cylinder in the center of the room, rhythmically pulsing as it harvests their blood. The boy accidentally yells out in horror, triggering a loud, piercing alarm. He runs into the stairwell, descending 3 more flights into a dark basement sewer. Smelling of rotten flesh, he's chased by a mob of clowns waving knives. He sprints past alcoves of rotting corpses before desperately climbing onto a ladder. One of the clowns slashes his ankle, but he manages to push a heavy manhole cover open and escape onto the rainy streets above. Now limping through the abandoned street, his foot hits a soggy newspaper. Lifting up the newspaper, he reads the faded date, July 13, 1992. He has somehow been put into the past. Exhausted, he limps towards a building with a giant glowing yellow M in the sky. He breaks into the abandoned McDonald's restaurant. The style of the restaurant is in its completely original 1980s aesthetic, featuring white plastic booths and red and yellow tiles. Strangely, sitting on the front of the counter is a brand new modern laptop. He takes the computer outside to the playground and sits on a bench next to a plastic statue of Ronald McDonald. As rain pours over the keys, he frantically types out his story. The story ends with the boy noticing the plastic statue slowly turning his head, looking over his shoulder, seeing the statue laughing, leaving him completely broken. As he loses his mind, he begins to laugh along with it. Alright, well, that was the Ronald McDonald House. Honestly, it was pretty tame for a creepypasta, although it got a little bit silly towards the end. But I'm kind of hoping that later on we get more into it, these stories kind of become more outlandish, because I really want to see how crazy these stories can truly get. And with that, let's get to the next layer. Okay, I'm sorry guys, I just had to take the opportunity to yell that out. Since we are talking about Alvin and the Chipmunks, you just have to do that iconic scream. Alright, I promise no more gags in this video. Alright, let's just get back into the spookiness. This story is a lost episode about Alvin and the Chipmunks called Torture. The narrator claims to buy a mysterious DVD from a nervous shop owner who warns him about the contents inside, saying that a very disturbing episode that wasn't meant to air due to its disturbing nature. The store owner wished him good luck and scanned the DVD. Arriving home, he places the episode inside his DVD player and began to watch. The episode starts mostly normal, with Alvin excited about attending a rock concert. After an argument involving Britney's missing nail polish, Dave punishes Alvin by destroying his concert ticket. The next day, the Chipmunks secretly decided they had enough of Alvin's troublemaking. They agreed to lure Alvin into a shelter and torture him there. Theodore knocks Alvin unconscious, and when Alvin wakes up, he's strapped down to an iron table, surrounded by the entire town. After Dave delivers a painfully long lecture about his behavior, the townspeople start to violently assault him. They start by taking Alvin's prized skateboard and smashing it to pieces right in front of him, before they pick up the sharp wooden splinters and plunge it deep into his flesh. As Alvin cries out, Brittany tells Alvin they will utterly break his favorite video game console. Then Eleanor forcefully pries Alvin's eyelids open, and then Dave beats him with a ruler until he bleeds. Janet then guns down Alvin with a minigun, leaving his body riddled with bullet holes. Simon then brings out his repaired invention, which absorbs UV rays from the sun, and then fires a massive laser beam. The beam completely vaporizes Alvin into the dust. Instead of mourning, the townspeople cheer, party, and dance in celebration. After watching the episode, the narrator is horrified and takes a baseball bat, smashing the DVD into pieces and throwing it in the garbage. The narrator ends the story by warning readers to stay far away from the disc if they ever find it. Mr. Mix was an obscure 1990s PC typing game designed similarly to Mario Teaches Typing. Players would type words into a box prompt to drop ingredients into a bowl, helping a chef named Mr. Mix. He was a rather large, overweight chef with a round face, beady eyes, and red spots on his cheeks. At the time, the game was infamous for its absurd difficulty curve. While level 1 required a modest 10 words per minute, level 3 jumped to 85 words per minute, and level 5 deemed an impossible speed of over 500 words per minute, blocking players from progressing. The audio was equally bizarre and harmful. Level 1 featured low growls that grew progressively louder as the level went on, damaging early computer speakers. Level 2 was completely silent, with no music or sound. Level 3 played a low-quality recording of a hairdryer, and levels 4 and 5 emitted a deafening high-pitched ringing that could cause severe eardrum damage. Many children who played the game experienced vivid, terrifying nightmares. They reported seeing Mr. Mix standing over them, speaking in a quiet, raspy voice, and threatening them to keep a secret, though none could remember what the secret was. Years later, a group of PC hackers got a hold of the ROM file, and using memory hacking software to bypass level 5, they discovered that completing the level normally triggered a violent crash that flooded the user system 32 directory with gore-filled images of mutilated people screaming, with torn skin and bleeding eyes. Attempting to delete these files results in a blue screen of death and permanently destroying the computer's hard drive. The hackers identified a single byte of code responsible for the crash. Upon removing it, they finally unlocked the mysterious 6th and final level. However, every hacker involved refused to speak about what they witnessed. Within days, all of them exhibited severe symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, lost the ability to speak in coherent sentences, and completely vanished within a month. 2 years after the disappearance, a man was arrested for attempting to kidnap an 8-year-old girl from a grocery store. DNA and fingerprint analysis confirmed that he was one of the missing hackers who had seen the final level. Clad in a white chef's hat with a look of pure insanity, he refused to answer questions, responding only with a chilling whisper, "I am Mr. Mix. Shh." A lifelong Nintendo fan sells his childhood SNES and N64 to a Hispanic mother for $40, intending to use emulators instead, but later he regretted the decision, so him and his brother visit a local game store called Game Giant, where they learn that the same woman from before sold the N64, and after buying the console back, the store owner, nervous, shaking, and offering a full refund, gives them a copy of Mario Kart 64 for free once all the other customers leave. After getting home, they decide to play versus mode. The brother checks the Grand Prix save file. Every single lap time reads exactly 6 minutes and 66 seconds. Finding this eerie, the narrator clears the data. The game immediately shuts off, leaving 5 minutes of static, accompanied by a depressed Mario repeating the phrase,
"You have driven us, and now you must watch us suffer."
The next morning, the skeptical brother plays the game while recording it. On Wario Stadium, the track banner reads, "You will pay." Lakitu's sign reads, "Die" instead of "go." Every time someone slipped on a banana, they didn't make the cheerful, cartoonish outbursts they would normally make. It would cause the carts to emit black smoke while characters scream in agony. When Luigi hits Yoshi with a red shell, Yoshi is bisected and forced to crawl along the track. After Luigi crosses the finish line, the other carts explode into charred 64-bit body parts, and the leaderboard displays RIP next to their names. After it was all finished, he shuts off the console. The TV remains on, displaying a mangled, bleeding Mario. Mario weeping softly and tells him,
"You should have never cleared that data. His records has died. Now we will die too. You have driven him to this, so you must watch yourself."
Text flashes on screen reading, "You have driven us. You have driven him." Determined to document the phenomenon, the narrator takes over his brother recordings. The title screen transforms into a grotesque nightmare as Donkey Kong wears a look of sick bloodlust as he uses a buzzsaw to split Luigi's skull in half, while Mario, Peach, and Yoshi drive away in terror. The once warm and orange sunset was replaced with a dark lightning-streaked sky, while dancing flames were accompanied in the background. The iconic cheerful intro theme was replaced with a rhythmic heartbeat over the agonizing sobs of Mario, completely replacing the classic Welcome to Mario Kart. The good characters, Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad, are frozen or either shaking uncontrollably with expressions of pure horror. In contrast, Bowser, Wario, and Donkey Kong glare outwards with unusual evil greed. When the narrator selects Toad, his cheerful trademark Wahoo is replaced with a gut-wrenching weep. The game immediately loads into a darkened version of Bowser's Castle, accompanied by a pitched-down rendition of the soundtrack. As the race begins, Bowser, Wario, and Donkey Kong veer off the main track to gather around a demonic fire-breathing statue. Bowser normally resigns. The statue speaks in an ancient language, and without warning, the statue erupts with a torrent of flame, incinerating Luigi instantly. His flesh burns away to reveal exposed muscle and bone, while Bowser, Wario, and Donkey Kong laugh hysterically at his agony. The demonic statue repeats its cryptic message: "You have driven us." Further along the track, Mario and Toad encounter Princess Peach trapped inside a cage, bound with heavy rope directly beneath a thwomp. Her eye sockets are completely empty and bleeding down her stained gown. Every time the thwomp slams into the ground, she vomits blood onto her own growing pool at the bottom of her cell, emotionlessly uttering, "You have driven them." A final crushing blow completely shatters her body, leaving the thwomp laughing. Stunned and sickened, the brothers keep recording as they press on. With only Toad and Mario surviving, the race ceases to feel like a game. The narrator becomes convinced that letting Toad die could trigger real-world harm. He frantically dodges bursts of fire for 3 exhausting laps, just to keep his character alive. Crossing the finish line in first place yields no victory. Instead, a somber, distorted, losing tone plays over a scoreboard that addresses the player by his actual real-world name, R.I.P. Richard. Playing on a version of Rainbow Road of raw flesh, eyes, and veins, Mario tries to jump a shortcut, crashes, and breaks his limbs with a hyper-realistic crunch, and begs the narrator to run him over to end his suffering. Neon signs along the track display horrifying depictions of characters being tortured. After finishing the race, the narrator's name appears as Richard, with a rank of 666. At the blood-soaked Royal Raceway, the demon slaughters the remaining villains on the winner's podium, while Toad turns to face the camera, chanting, "You have left us. You have damned us. You have driven us." The game turns off. The cartridge becomes so hot, it burns the narrator's hands. So the brothers throw it onto the driveway and burn it. When they check the camera footage, all the videos have been vanished. All the videos have been deleted and only replaced by a single picture of Mario crying, with the caption, "You have driven us." As the cartridge melts outside, screamings can be heard inside the house. The narrator enters his bathroom just to find the sink filled with real blood and a message written on the mirror: "It will never end. You have driven us." A child begs their mother to take him to a Chuck E. Cheese after seeing an enticing television commercial. She gives in and eventually drives them to the franchise around 4:30 p.m. Overjoyed, the child bursts through the entrance, getting their hands stamped, and immediately begins to play games. While playing a shark-themed whack-a-mole game located directly beside a marked door named Staff Only, voices behind the door can be heard and catches the attention of the kid. A voice can be heard saying, "Test number 15, a mutated rat," results in angry behavior such as throwing desks and scientists at the wall. Curious, the child presses against the door and listens to the staff frantically argue what to do with this beast. One person shouts that they cannot just kill it because it's a beast version of their mascot. As the child leads in, the heavy door swings open under their weight, causing them to fall face first into the staff's room. Hands from the scientists immediately grab the child's arms, and they quickly knock out the kid unconscious. The child wakes up feeling weak, heavy-eyed, and disoriented. In the cold interrogation room, a tall man in a white lab coat approaches with a deep, scratchy voice, saying, you know, don't you? You know." Confused and babbling, the child responds with a, "What?" The scientist grabs the child's arms, causing a static sensation to intensify, which makes the child whine. Heavy banging and clawing echo against the interrogation room door. The terrified child screams, thrashing out of the chair, and retreats to the corner of the room. The child repeatedly kicks out in fear, striking an air vent cover with a loud metal clank until the front panel pops off. As the scientist walks towards them to regain control, the child spits at him and scrambles inside the vent shaft, pulling the metal cover back into place behind them. A piercing hiss and a loud bang could be heard against the door, signaling that the creature has broken through. As the child frantically crawls through the ductwork, the scientist's horrified screams echo through the vents, accompanied by distinct, sickening sounds of cracking bone and tearing flesh. As the mutated mascot slaughters him, the child sees the light ahead, kicks open a poorly secured vent cover, and stumbles out into the main facility. They run to their mother, bursting into tears as they plead to go home. As they pull out the parking lot, police cruisers with blaring sirens rush past them, surrounding the building. That night, while sneaking out of bed for water, the child catches a news broadcast reporting that a mutated rat escaped from Chuck E. Cheese and fled into the alleys. The true whereabouts of Chuck E. Cheese remains a mystery, leaving the narrator permanently traumatized and swearing to never enter another Chuck E. Cheese and to also never spy on restaurant staff again. This is a lost episode centered around a YouTube channel named Super Mario Logan, or SML. The narrator begins explaining that they were a frequent viewer of the channel and generally enjoys their videos, mentioning episodes such as Jeffy's Bad Word and Joseph Moves In. Their opinion of the channel supposedly changed forever after discovering a strange video on September 29th, 2017. The narrator wakes up to a notification on their phone, and they initially expect another ordinary SML video, possibly related to Bowser Jr.'s birthday. Instead, they find something unusual and decide to watch it despite wondering whether it might be a joke or an early Halloween episode. At the beginning, the episode appears normal. Jr. is spending time with Jeffy, Joseph, and Cody, joking around and behaving as they usually do. However, things quickly become more disturbing when the group starts playing football inside the house. Jeffy kicks the football so hard that it breaks through the ceiling. The damaged ceiling collapses onto Shapipi, leaving him unconscious. Junior becomes frightened and tries to fix the situation himself. He uses Play-Doh, glue, and tape in an attempt to reconstruct Shapipi's damaged face. Surprisingly, Shapipi suddenly survives and appears to have developed a new face underneath an old one. Rather than being relieved, Junior becomes horrified by the strange transformation. Junior desperately tries to communicate with Shapipi, repeatedly asking whether he's still there. Shapipi does not respond normally. Instead, he attacks Junior. Junior cries and repeatedly apologizes, but Shapipi continues attacking him until Junior dies. The narrator describes this moment as the point when the Phantom has supposedly appeared. Afterward, the narrator claims that YouTube removed the episode because it violated the platform's community guidelines. They said the video frightened them so badly that they could never look at Shapipi the same way again. What makes the story more mysterious is that the narrator claims almost nobody else remembers the episode. They say that their friends saw it as well, but after nobody seemed to discuss it or acknowledge that it never existed. This leads the narrator to wonder whether they and their friends were among the only people who witnessed the mysterious video. Later, the narrator provides an update. Someone allegedly contacted them with a screenshot taken from one of Chili's vlogs. The image supposedly shows Shapipi laying on the kitchen table with dust surrounding him. Although Junior is not visible in the picture, the narrator believes that this could be evidence that the strange episode was real, and the events shown in it may have had a connection to the actual Super Mario Logan video. The video takes place in July 2011, when the narrator was sitting in a coffee shop, drinking tea and browsing through the internet. They decided to search YouTube for Spongebob episodes and discovered a strange video titled "Goodbye Spongebob, Lost Episode." Curious about the unusual title, they click on it. Although the video takes an unusual long 15 minutes to load, when the episode finally begins, everything initially seems normal. After the opening theme, the screen briefly goes black, before showing a Tombstone-themed title card reading, "Goodbye, SpongeBob." The episode starts with SpongeBob watching television with Gary, when Patrick arrives and announces that he's going to a family vacation for 2 weeks. SpongeBob hugs him and says goodbye. 2 days later, SpongeBob is sitting on his couch, reading a newspaper, when there was a sudden, extremely loud knock at the door. Sandy enters looking deeply upset and tells SpongeBob that Patrick has died in a plane crash. SpongeBob initially laughs because he thinks Sandy is joking, but she becomes more serious and tells him that it isn't a joke. SpongeBob then breaks down crying and runs to his bedroom. The next day, time card pops up and the bubble transition splashes on the screen. It was Patrick's funeral. SpongeBob, Sandy, Mr. Krabs, Squidward, Gary, and Patrick's parents are all present in mourning. It cuts to a shot of Patrick. He was drawn in the same hyper-realistic style as Bart's corpse from the Lost Simpsons episode, Dead Bart. After the funeral, the screen goes black for 25 seconds before showing SpongeBob sitting at a desk and writing a farewell note. He spoke out loud as he wrote. Here's what he had wrote. Without Patrick in my life, I am nothing. He made me what I am today. I am thankful for him. But now, with him dead, I just have no purpose in my life. I cannot live without Patrick. If he is dead, then I want to be dead. Goodbye, people. I'm really sorry if I'm hurting anyone for doing this, but I can't just live like this without Patrick. If anybody finds this note, then I am long dead. Goodbye, cruel world. There's no noise after that, except for SpongeBob saying farewell. A realistic tear came out of his eye. The tear looked like a drop of water rolling down my laptop screen. There was no noise. It cuts to a rope hanging from the ceiling. SpongeBob brings the noose around his neck and stands on a stool. He sighs sadly and kicks the stool underneath himself. His body drops faster than a lead balloon. It cuts to the rope hanging from the ceiling. SpongeBob just stays there, and there's no audio at all. It's dead silent. Then, blood is oozing out of his holes, and the blood looks realistic. It was not your typical cartoon blood. Creepy images started flashing on screen. At the bottom of each one, it said, R.I.P. SpongeBob, before cutting to static. The credits are especially strange because they only list written by Steven Hillenburg, which was the creator of the show himself. I was scared after seeing that crap, despite the disturbing content being completely unlike a normal SpongeBob episode. Shaken by what he just watched, the narrator questions why the creator of SpongeBob would supposedly make something so horrifying. If you see that episode somewhere, do not watch it and beware. The video was taken down shortly afterwards because of a copyright claim by Viacom. Thank God. Alright, for this last entry, I'm just gonna read the story as how the author originally wrote it, just because it sounds funny, with most of the writing being incorrect. Alright, without further ado, let's get into it. I can't believe I'm telling this. I'm Drake, and I have been keeping this as a secret for a long time, until now. I live with my wife Morgan, my son Peter, and my daughter Carly. They don't know when. When I was 11, I lost my brother. It all began on spring 1987, May 17th. To be more detailed, me and my brother, Max, were playing in the front yard of my grandma's house. We would often visit her, cause she didn't have a long time to live anymore. So we called her dad to pick us up, but for some weird reason my dad rejected. He never did that. The only chance to get home now was by walking for a half an hour. We didn't want to waste any time. We picked up our 2 flashlights and began to walk. Max's flashlight was really weak, so we only used mine. After a few minutes, we somehow got lost in a forest. My flashlight was getting weaker by the minute. We only walked for about 15 minutes, and we were already tired. There was no chance, other choice than wait till daylight. Max and I were really getting tired. We laid on the ground and tried to ignore the ants. It took us a long time to fall asleep. I woke up first, and I noticed my flashlight was gone, having no idea where it went, but it didn't care since it was early in the morning. The sun was finally coming up. I noticed that my cell phone battery was empty. If I only remembered that I had it with me. Max woke up shortly after, but it seemed like he was a few feet away from where he fell asleep. I also noticed that blood was coming out of his mouth. Random trees around the forest fell down. It didn't look like animals' teeth, but human teeth. I remember in class the teacher said that it was impossible for human teeth to do that. I asked Max if he saw anything at night. He just laughed and we moved on. He didn't say a single word. I felt like the nature made him crazy. I decided to ignore it. We moved on. Things were getting stranger and weirder. Max was getting insane. He threw up every 10 minutes or so. He was randomly chirping around. When the minute struck, he kicked me by the stomach. I threw up. I know he was going deadly insane. I kicked him back in the head. He fell back. I jumped on him, punching him in the face multiple times. I didn't know why I was doing this. Soon he grabbed me again and threw me against a tree. I was massively in pain. I could not take it anymore. I roundhouse kicked him in the head, in the balls, and in the stomach. I knew he would never be the same, and he soon began punching me in the face. His fighting skills were outrageous. I could not take it anymore. I began running. After about 5 minutes, I ran out of stamina. Luckily, I was near a road and saw a police car driving down it. The police officer stopped and asked, "What are you doing here? You seem injured. What wrong?" I replied, "My brother is insane. Please stop him." Max ran towards the police can. As he ran, he tripped on a rock and hitting the police car hardly, he passed out. As we took him to the hospital, the police officer, by the way named Douglas, called my father and he picked me up. After 3 days, my father and I returned to check if he was okay, only to see corpses of nurses and doctors around the hospital. As we investigate the place, I found a document that said Max 13-year-old, massive mind loss. My brother was gone, simply gone, a killer. 5 years passed, as many reports of unknown murders occurred in near areas. A hot Friday night, I heard a weird noise around my house. I turned the lights on, only to see my father's body with a weird creature eating his heart. That creature was Max. I ran out as fast as possible to the neighbor's house. Just when they were about to call the police, Max shattered the window, gutting them with a knife. He grabbed my mouth, just about to stab me, but luckily, the next door neighbor called the police. Just before he jumped out the window, he said a sentence that I would never forget. "You're next. Don't even hide. I see you again." Ha 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 ha. Well, that was some of the most horrible creepypastas that were out there. I mean, surely there are much more worse ones, but you know, these were pretty bad too. This video took me a few weeks to make, so if you managed to make it all the way through, then congratulations firstly, and secondly, I guess I did something right. And also, if you did enjoy this sort of content, maybe I'll start making more in the future. I'm not really sure yet. It was honestly pretty fun trying something new and putting this whole thing together, so maybe I'll make more. Well, I don't really have anything else to say, but thank you so much for watching, and as always, stay safe out there, my friends.